All right, welcome back to the podcast. We are here today with my amazing co-host Kenny. I'm your boy Freeway. This is the IMNerd. And yeah, the Nintendo Direct just came out today at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Nintendo 64! Look, you remember that commercial? Or like, not commercial, but that YouTube video?
Yeah, I mean, they turned it into a commercial, but yeah.
Yeah, iconic. I might insert that in the beginning of this if I can find... Well, I could definitely find it, but... The audio was quite ridiculous. As a little kid screaming Nintendo 64 at the top of his fucking lungs. I think he ended up getting a headache and passed out. But yeah, Nintendo Direct came out, the one that mattered. You know, we had one like last week, which no one cared about.
Last week's Nintendo Direct was absurd.
When I tell you no one cared,
fucking like
when I tell you no one cared about that.
So that Direct came out last week, and first I got confused because I remember knowing this Direct was coming.
Yeah,
and then the Direct came out last week, and I watched it, and I think there was like 2 relevant things in it, and then it was like 40 minutes of nothing.
What were the 2 relevant things? Because I actually don't know anything about it.
Man, you're putting me on the spot here.
One
of it was they actually showed Metroid Prime 4 for the first time.
Okay, that's a pretty big thing.
Yeah, they showed Metroid Prime 4. That's the first time Metroid Prime 4 has like been seen since like 2017.
Jesus Christ, 8 years?
Yeah, I'll talk about that a little bit because it's very out of character. So I'll just stick it in right now. Something I love about Nintendo in general is you never have to wait for their releases and reveals. When they tell you, when they let you know something exists, the release date is within soon. So like, for example, the Nintendo Switch 2, today was the Direct where they showed off everything. And hey, by the way, it comes out in 2 months. Like another example is just various games. Like all the games coming out, all the games that they showed are all coming out like really soon. I remember like one of the first times I really realized this was when they put out Paper Mario Origami King. They announced it on Twitter and it came out like, it was like, oh, it comes out in 2 weeks. I was like, what the fuck? Like Nintendo's on bullshit. They don't reveal something and then make you wait 10 years like fucking Kingdom Hearts.
Dear God, don't.
But that's at Metroid
don't.
Prime 4.
Don't do that. That you just caused like a trauma response for me. What the fuck?
I'm just saying, dude.
Hollow
they showed
Knight
the Kingdom
too,
Hearts
right?
4
Isn't
trailer.
Hollow Knight vaporware at this point?
Silk Song, yeah, the DLC or the whatever. That's been vaporware since like 2018, I think.
Yeah, so oh God. I know Medina plays that game hard as shit, and he would love to actually have, that content.
Kingdom Hearts 4 had a trailer, however many years ago now, and they specifically said, hey, we're not going to make you guys wait a long time. Like, we're ready. We're going to show you some stuff. It's been like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, it has.
And we haven't heard about Kingdom Hearts 4 since that trailer. Anyway, I say all that to say, Metroid Prime 4 had a really troubled development. The original people that were making the game, I think, completely abandoned it. And then Nintendo switched to having Retro Studios, which is another one of their in-house developers. I don't know. It had a really troubled development. That other Nintendo Direct showed Metroid Prime 4 for the first time in a long time. And then they showed like Tomodachi Life, which I don't care about, but other people do. Other than that, it was like all bullshit.
Yeah.
This week's Nintendo Direct is what everybody came to see. And it started off with a fucking bang with that Mario Kart tour. World. That shit was crazy.
Yeah. So I want to preface this by saying, in this podcast, Kenny is a huge Nintendo fanboy.
Yeah.
And he grew up on Nintendo. I mean, technically we all grew up on Nintendo in a way. Like I wasn't a Nintendo fanboy, but I played Pokemon, right? I played Smash but I didn't play Mario specifically. Like it's weird because my grandfather was a master of Mario and 100% completed every Mario game. And he had like every Nintendo device and every Mario game. And he had like spreadsheets that he hand created for the puzzles, the matching game. Like he literally drew all the matching games. So he was like, if you click any 2 spots, and you use these sheets of paper I give you, you can tell which one you're on, which puzzle you're on, and you can just get you can match every single one. So my grandfather was a really big gamer, and I guess that's where I got it from, which is so interesting because I didn't meet my grandfather until I was like, well, I should say I didn't cognizantly meet my grandfather until I was like 7. I'm sure he was in my life when I was a baby, and I just don't remember being like 3 years old and seeing my grandfather. But when I was able to realize, like, you know, this human is different from this human, and this human is my grandfather, he's related to me and all that. Once I was like 7, and so when I met him and I found out he was a gamer, I was like, wow, that's so insane. Because at this point, if I'm 7, that means the 64 is out. And it also means the PlayStation 1 is out, which means that I'm already a gamer. So meeting him, and my dad's a gamer too. So meeting my grandfather and all of our names, and then I found out his name was Frazier. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, how are all of our names Frazier Smith, all 3 of us? I'm literally called Frazier Smith III. And then I come from a line of gamers. Like, my grandfather was a gamer. He was also a Marine, and he has like pictures in his Marine gear, and he's all fucking diesel and shit. Just like completely different person than when I met him. Obviously, he's just Basama. Like he just like this fucking old man. He just like old dude with a bald head and like a big mustache. Like he has a big mustache, and like he's super light skinned. Me and my dad are like more of a brown skin complexion, I would say. I used to think I was dark skinned, but now I'm looking at myself more and more, and I'm realizing I'm not dark skinned, but I'm brown skinned.
Yeah, I don't know. Like you're not. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not dark
skinned. I think overall, in the you're medium skin.
I'm brown skin. There's a term for it. Yeah. It's called brown skin. There's light skin.
I like medium.
Brown skin, and then there's dark skin. Dark skin is Goose. You know Goose. Goose is what you consider dark skin. We say he's so black he's purple, but
yeah.
So my point is, I kind of
Grape Ape, which is crazy. That is a crazy thing. That is a wild
name.
Like,
yeah, and it was specifically black people calling him that too. So like, that's anyway. We're so off tangent, but I grew up playing like Sega a lot, and for me that was Sonic, Gunstar Heroes, Streets of Rage, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, all those games, right? And then I got a 64. 64 was my first. 64 and Game Boy Color were my first Nintendo products. And obviously, I love both of them. Like, I love Diddy Kong Racing. I love No Mercy.
Yeah.
I love Smash Bros. I love all of that shit, right? But it's weird. I just never really got into Mario specifically. So all Mario-related things, I just never was into. But throughout my life, like, obviously, I have a lot of friends who are also gamers. And I think Kenny and some of his friends are probably the biggest Nintendo fans that I know. So I say all this to say, I will let Kenny lead with this Nintendo Direct because this means a lot more to him than it does to me, because I don't think that this Nintendo Direct was necessarily for me. So you tell us what you're excited about, King. Like what?
I mean, I was pumped. I want to make one clarification for the record. Is Frazier correct? Am I a Nintendo fanboy? Yes. But I'm more of a fanboy of good things. For example, the Wii U, trash. Kenny didn't buy that. Didn't matter how much of a Nintendo fanboy I was. That shit was trash.
Why was it like you knew on release that it was bad?
I did not buy. I knew before it came out. I remember arguing with our good friend Medina. I was arguing with him. I was like, Medina, I can't believe, because he was talking about buying it. I was like, I cannot believe you're buying it. And he, I don't remember exactly what the argument was, because this is like back in 2014 or something.
Yeah, it literally had to be 2014.
We were having like a back and forth, and I was like, I am not buying this. I was like, it is so fucking bad. Just looking at like the information we had before it came out, I can't remember the specifics, but I was right.
Yeah, no, you were 100%. It's just weird because like I feel like you don't necessarily know something is going to be a disaster before it even drops all the time. Some things you do. The PS3, people kind of knew that was a disaster because it was mainly the price point that they had in that. Remember that conference?
That $599, they were proud of that shit too.
Yeah, and
they were proud of that.
Got them destroyed. That was the first time I saw Sony really like bleed. I was like, oh, you guys have made a huge, because the PS2 was the biggest thing ever, and then they did the PS3. And they came out with that price point, and that alone was enough to just like bomb. I have always looked at Sony differently after that specific incident. And then obviously gaming changed too to first person shooters and shit. So I just was like, all right, whatever. But
I can't remember all of the exact specifics. But
something about it just told you like, this is not it. This is not, I'm not buying this. This isn't going to be
it. And then it came out and like, it was just like, it really wasn't it. It was like a disappointment in so many ways. And I remember the only time I like somewhat was jealous of not having it was when we were all playing Smash 4.
Exactly. That was the only, but then you came over to my house all the time.
I just went to your house fucking every other day and played it. And I was like, I literally don't need this console.
Yeah.
And then the Switch just corrected history because it was so much better in every way. And then on top of that, every single game that was released on the Wii U, they just put on the Switch plus everything else.
That was brilliant. The
awesome.
Wii U didn't have a long life anyway, right?
No, I don't think so.
2014 to 2017, right? Doesn't the Nintendo Switch come out in 2017?
Yeah.
That's a really short life for like the next generation of a console like that. Like 3 years is insane.
Yeah. Another thing that was really bad about it was like how much it relied on the gamepad. So the gamepad was like a pretty decent idea. It was cool and it had some cool features, but the fact that the system required it for like all of its functions was really frustrating. Like you couldn't even really use, like if you just wanted to boot the game, I just want to play Zelda today. You want to boot it, play Zelda with like your controller. If I remember correctly, you can't do that. You have to like do it through the gamepad, and then you can switch over to your controller.
Yeah, I remember Medina having to get up from his beanbag chair and go over to the gamepad multiple times to do things. Yeah. And that just seemed really frustrating to me because we were already living in the future, right? Like 2014.
Yeah.
You know, why are we getting up to do anything?
Yeah, so the Wii U was trash. I knew it was going to be trash. Yeah. But that said, I'm a Nintendo fanboy. I've said this multiple times, and it'll continue to be true that for the most part, I don't see myself buying consoles anymore outside of Nintendo consoles because everything PlayStation, Xbox does goes to PC anyway.
Yeah.
So if you have a PC and a Nintendo console, you basically have gaming covered. You can you have access to any game you want.
And now we're older, and I guess we're a little bit more patient because I used to need games as soon as they came out, but now I can wait a year for Final Fantasy Rebirth to come out on PC like it did last month. I'm fine with waiting.
Yeah.
Like I'm so good with that.
Yeah, if I didn't get a PS5 for free, like I wouldn't have one. Like I wasn't going to ever buy it.
I sold my PS5 last week. Like I literally sold it to my best friend. I just like, you can buy this. He was talking about he's getting a new apartment and he wanted a PS5, and I looked at it and I was like, I was like, well, mine has been sitting in my living room for like a year and a half untouched.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what's on it. I said, I can wipe it and sell it to you at a decent price, like something that's actually fair for both of us. And I just sold it to him and he bought it that same day. So I don't have a PS5 anymore. It also makes sense because, again, I have a 4090 NVIDIA graphics card. My PC can do literally anything that PCs can do. So like, I'm just a PC gamer. I agree with Kenny. I'm not buying any more consoles except a Nintendo console at this point. So at some point, I imagine I will get a Switch 2, but I won't be getting a Switch 2 necessarily on release, except, so there's like a caveat here. I want a Switch 2 once it gets the games that I know are going to eventually come on it. I know I'm going to get a Smash Bros. Game. I believe, I know some people think that Smash Ultimate was the last Smash game. I do not believe that. I think that there will be another Smash game. I will 100% get it for Smash, and I will 100% in 4 years get it for the next Monster Hunter game. And seeing the fucking specs of the Switch 2,
bro,
the next Monster Hunter game is on the Switch specifically is going to, because there's two different teams for people who don't know. Like there's the Monster Hunter Wilds World team or whatever, and they're like the ones doing that storyline where, you know, it's more realistic. I'll use air quotes there, as realistic as a Monster Hunter game can be. And then you have like the anime-esque weeaboo version of Monster Hunter that is like it's a very fun version of Monster Hunter, and I love it as well. The Rise, the Generations Ultimate, Double Cross or whatever. You have that version where you have all these skills and shit that are only in those games. Like those games have those skills that you can use, like the wire bug, stuff like that. So when they come out with the next iteration of Rise Sunbreak, which is going to be fucking insane, on the Switch 2, it is going to be ridiculous because the Switch 2 can play Final Fantasy Remake, and I assume it will be able to play Rebirth. It's at 4K resolution on your TV. So when it's docked, it can do 4K, 60 frames per second. It could also do 1080p, 120 frames per second.
Which is like, you can't, like, that's, you don't really need anything else.
Exactly. Like for me, like I argue this all the time. I know some people are like huge sticklers for graphics and all sort of stuff. I do not care as long as the game looks good enough and like the gameplay is just solid across the board. Gameplay is more important to me than graphics. If I can get both, amazing. God of War Ragnarok, one of the best games I've ever played in my life because it had both. But even if a game doesn't necessarily have like Kratos' skin, I can see his pores. Like I don't need that for the game to be good. Like I never needed that to enjoy like Final Fantasy X. If I go back to it now and play it in its base version, not like the remastered one or whatever, I still love the game. And the graphics, if you look at it now, are not like great, but the gameplay was what made it so good. And I say Nintendo does that consistently. So I don't care about the fact that the graphics are like, oh, they're not PS5 graphics. I wasn't expecting PS5 graphics. I wasn't expecting that. And I think that what that does for Nintendo is it allows them to develop games faster than Xbox and Sony because those graphics are so fucking high on those consoles. You don't get games. It takes like 7 years for a game to come out. And I don't I don't care for that. I just do not care for waiting a decade for a game to be developed.
I can't wait to see what is it like when 7 Remake on the Switch 2 comes out. Like, I can't wait to really see what that looks like, because we're saying like it's not going to be PS5, but like if the games look as good as 7 Remake, I don't really fucking care. Like, how much better than it
because 7 Remake
how much better does it need to look? Like
7 Remake. So I played 7 Remake on PS4 because I didn't have a PS. I don't think the PS5 version was out when I first got it anyway, or maybe the PS5 had just come out, but that game wasn't out on it yet, or whatever. But I played Final Fantasy 7. Yeah, I played Final Fantasy 7 Remake day one when it came out, and I played it the first week, and I beat it in the first week that I played it, and it was amazing. And me and Gary sat there. He watched me play through the whole game. It was brilliant, and I kept commenting how I played Final Fantasy 7 half a dozen times. That one actually is half a dozen times, and like, I cannot believe what they upscaled that game to with the remake. Like,
it doesn't even make sense.
It just looks incredible, and it still looks. And to Kenny's point, because I know what you're alluding to, it still looks incredible right now. Like, Final Fantasy 7 Remake will always look good in my opinion. I don't think that there will be a world where you look back on it and be like, damn, this looked crazy. Look at it. It's not anywhere near, like, it's not PS3. It's honestly a slight, because it came out the end of PS4, so it's kind of more of a PS5 game anyway, like graphically.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at Rebirth, I don't feel like Rebirth really looks that much better than Remake.
Yeah, I don't think it looks that much better. It does look better, but it's not to the point where it's like, how did I ever play Remake? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And so the Switch 2 can run these games, which means that the Switch 2 is capable of running virtually anything.
Yeah, so like, it might be getting Rebirth. We don't know if it will, but like, I kind of assume it's going to be getting Rebirth. I assume it's going to get it too. I just think they're doing to do like a partial, release one game at a time type of thing. And then I don't know if it's going to get Remake Part 3, but like, holy shit, if it does, that's really cool.
Yeah, that is cool. That is cool, even though I will be getting it on my...
Yeah, I'll be having it on PC as well. Yeah. The only thing that sucks is that, like, because it's like, my current problem is like Monster Hunter Wilds. I can't play it when I'm at work because I'm away from home for like 3 days, 4 days, and so it's like I kind of look at that like, ooh, maybe I'll get it on my Switch.
You know what I'll say? If it comes out at the same time on PC and on Switch, then I will buy it on. I'll buy it on Switch and then just download it on PC.
Yeah.
I can see myself doing something. Yeah, I can see myself doing something like that. Like, because here's my thing: if it does come out on Switch ever, that means that it's not an exclusive thing anymore, because the Rebirth was exclusive to PlayStation.
Yeah.
And for people who don't know, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth did terrible in terms of sales, and that kind of is why it is now being released on everything, because it did not do very well when it came out. Like, that initial...
Which is a shame, because like, what other game that year was as fucking good as Rebirth, you know?
True. Like, as I've been playing Rebirth, and I'm at Casa del Sol right now, or Costa del Sol, whatever it's called. As I'm playing the game, like, I love it. As soon as I started streaming it and playing it, I was like, oh, I'm back. Like, I'm back to being addicted to a Final Fantasy game again. It's a great game. I don't see anything particularly wrong with it. I like all the side quests. I know some people might be, not a fan of it, but I actually enjoy doing all the stuff.
That's what RPGs are. RPGs, like, they break up the gameplay. You need side quests and like mini games and stuff.
I like it. So I don't just go straight to a story when I play a game. I'm going to get the big Goron sword when I play Ocarina of Time. Like, I'm not going to just skip it. Like, I'm going to get the ice arrow, right? Like, I as a kid, I did all these things. I'm going to do all these things again as an adult, because these things bring me happiness to just do a game, like, have my thing filled out. I want to press start, and I want to see my whole menu filled out with all the items that you can get. Bomb shoes, everything, right? So, yeah, that's how I play games. So I enjoy it. But yeah, back to the Switch 2. So, yeah. Graphically, it's great. So 4K, 60 frames per second, and 1080p, 120 frames per second, undocked.
It's really good.
Like,
really fucking good.
What? Like, that's so good.
Like, so I'll like double back, and then I'll get to. Well, actually, fuck it. I'll just talk about this part right now too. The fact that like day one, so that, it's fully backwards compatible with the Switch. All of your Switch games work on the Switch too. But then they clarified that there's some games that like specifically that they upgrade it to be able to run, like, do more shit.
Yeah, like Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild are two examples of that.
Yeah, so those games, there's going to be like, you pay for an upgrade. I'm guessing it'll be like 10 or 20 bucks to upgrade it. And then like, if you don't own the game, you just got to buy it for the Switch 2. If you do own the game, it's like the price isn't confirmed yet, but I'm assuming it'll be like 10 or 20 bucks.
I'm hoping it's 10. The game. I do think 20 is a bit excessive.
Yeah, I agree.
I think 10 would be so like fine. I'm not happy that you have to pay to do like this upgrade thing. I don't really like the idea of that at all, but if it's a reasonable price, right now we don't know pricing information on this stuff. And I think that the reason why we don't know, and I've been reading a lot today about Nintendo Switch 2, is because of fucking the administration right now in office. These tariffs,
oh my God,
we don't know how these tariffs are going to affect every industry, not just the gaming. So to be clear, the pricing for the Switch 2 right now is said to be like $450 and then $500 for the bundle with Mario Kart World. But Trump just announced, as we're recording this, I mean literally like within the last hour, put a 10% tariff across the board on everything being imported. So that's literally
just by the way, the last time the U.S. did tariffs like this, it led to the Great Depression. Just in case anybody doesn't know, if you look at it, the Great Depression directly followed us doing all the tariffs.
Oh God, don't say that. No, see, I'm not a history buff. I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't exactly. And I'm one of those people. In history class was probably the least interesting to me because I'm really good at math. I'm really good at reading, writing, things like that. But when it came to history, my brain just went somewhere else. So I don't really know my history that well in terms of like I know the events. I just don't know the order of them and stuff like that. Like how you said, this happened and then this happened. I don't know that. I know that the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand led to World War. Like, you know what I mean? Like I know that that was the beginning of World War. I know that we stormed Normandy and stuff like that, and that's how we entered and Pearl Harbor and all that stuff. But I don't know the order of events a lot of the time. So when you said, "Oh, tariffs and then Great Depression," I didn't realize that it was like in that order.
Yep, it's not great. It's not great. But anyway, the pricing thing is rough, but like
it's disappointing because I feel like Nintendo is going to get. They're basically right now on the internet. I feel like Nintendo is the fall guy for what's happening with gaming pricing. I don't know if you've been seeing this too today, but it's like people are blaming Nintendo because the games are going to be $80 and $90 physical.
Yeah,
but go ahead. Did you want to say something?
I was going to say, my thing is like, it sucks. Obviously, I don't want them to be more expensive, but at the same time, I just want be for real in that at the end of the day, games have been $60 since I was a child. And there's not a single thing that since I was a child, the price is the same. Like inflation hasn't hit the price of games like at all. Like games were $60. So the fact that like they're going to be more expensive, like it sucks. But I also kind of realized that like they kind of kept games at the price of $60 since I was like fucking 10 years old. So it had to happen at some point.
Yeah, I'm also not a fan of the whole like games being $80 and $90. I think that is just crazy. And I understand inflation happens and stuff like that. When I was a kid, games were $49.99 and $53.50 in Philadelphia with tax. I remember paying $53.49 when my dad took me to buy video games. Like when he took me to buy like any video game at GameStop, I remember paying for a ton of games like Mega Man X, whatever, Kingdom Hearts, like Kingdom Hearts 2, for example, whatever I bought on PS2, and then like GameCube, I remember just paying like 53, because tax at the time in Philadelphia, tax was 7%. So my total always came out to $53.49, which if you do 7 times 50 is $3.50. Like 7 times 5 is 35. So I just remember that number exactly because I knew in order to buy a game, because I was such a gamer as a kid, in order to buy a game, I needed $53.50. That was the number I needed to get to. So I needed to save my allowance or do whatever I had to do to get $53.50. And then eventually, like the next gen comes out and games start costing $60. And luckily for me, I became more of a Yu-Gi-Oh player. This is during the peak years of my Yu-Gi-Oh career. So I became more of a Yu-Gi-Oh player and less of a gamer anyway. So it kind of worked out that I wasn't really gaming like that when they officially became 60. They became 60 in the early 2000s anyway, right? Like a lot of those games in Xbox 360 and shit like that, they were $60. So Kenny's right.
Yeah.
Games have been 60 for a long time and everything else has gone up. Haircuts have gone up. Rent has gone up. The cost of everything has gone up. Groceries, everything's through the roof, right? Gaming has stayed, for the most part, most games are 60. Some have been more expensive here or there, but most games across the board are $60. And that hasn't changed in probably a decade or more. So if that's the case, of course, with the price of everything else going up, games have to as well. And Nintendo being the first to do the $80, $90 pricing now, people are acting like Nintendo is starting this. But it's like, bro, I promise you, Sony and Microsoft are about to do the exact same thing.
Here's the other thing, too. Now, obviously, this could change. Who knows what happens? Nintendo games tend to not have as much DLC as other companies.
Yeah.
And when they do, their DLC tends to be cheaper. Not all the time. For example, during the 3DS era, there were some egregious DLCs they did, like for Fire Emblem Echoes, which is an amazing game. But the DLC for Fire Emblem Echoes was more expensive than the fucking game. Like Fire Emblem Echoes was like $40, and I think the DLC was like $60. It was crazy, just absolutely egregious.
Yeah.
I say that to say, even though I just praised games and saying that like they haven't really gone up for inflation, they've been $60. Every fucking game nowadays has a $30 DLC that like comes along with it.
Mm-hmm.
So my point is, if Nintendo games end up being like $80, but then like their DLCs, I don't know. We'll see what the fuck happens. But my point is, like, for most other games like PlayStation, you've been paying $120 this whole time anyway, because it's $60 and then you pay another $30 or $60 for the DLC, and that's how it's been for however long it's been.
I'm just not a fan of inflation. It's not a gaming thing.
It sucks.
Exactly. It's not a gaming thing. It's not a Nintendo thing. It's just the world thing right now. And if these
it's only going to get worse.
It's only going to get worse.
What's happening?
If these tariffs and stuff like that are going to continue to be a thing, everything is going to get more expensive across the board. So I feel like some of the internet people are being ridiculous and making it seem like this is just happening in one place. Like, bro, have y'all checked the price of eggs that everyone's actually complaining about? Like, your fucking Mario World costing $80, $90. That is annoying. Like, I'm not acting like capitalism and all the things that drive this type of society are not fucking annoying. That we're not making more money, but we're paying more money. Like, Kenny is not making more money when he goes to work tomorrow. You're not. And neither am I. I just got my raise. Now, I'll be honest. My company's doing bad. My raise was so bullshit. My raise was so bullshit yesterday. My boss, oh my God, my raise was so bullshit yesterday. So it's like across the board, the economy's doing bad. Companies are doing bad. I saw Tesla. It's like crazy decline that Elon Musk is now probably stepping down from his position at Doge or whatever, the government position that he has. Like, he's stepping because Tesla is tanking bad. Like, it says it's the worst it's been since inception, like since the company first started. The sales are just terrible, terrible, terrible. The stock price is like at $260, and it might actually get down to $200, which it was at like very recently. Honestly, it was at like 4 something. Elon Musk has lost billions of dollars in wealth, and now they're saying that because he used his Tesla stock to buy Twitter, and because it's plummeted so bad, because Tesla stock has plummeted so bad, he might be on a line with the banks. And there's this whole thing. So essentially, the world is eroding right now when it comes to the price of things across the board. This is, again, is like, not you can't blame it on
just Nintendo.
It's not a Nintendo thing. It's not a gaming industry thing. It's just a fucking worldwide thing that's happening, and it sucks for all of us. We're all in it together. We all have to pay more for games now. It fucking blows. I was not happy to see it, and it sucks that like somebody had to be the first to do it, right? Like, somebody had to be the first to be like, games are going to be this. And it is Nintendo, and they're going to get the heat for it because people are idiots, and they're just going to like harp on the first. But I promise you, PS5 games and Xbox, I don't even know what series they're on right now, but whatever they're on, they're going to be the same price.
Yeah. Also, here's the thing. I don't know. Like, we'll see what happens. If it ends up not being good and there's enough backlash, maybe they'll change the prices back. Maybe they won't, though, because maybe they can't with all the tariffs and everything. Like, maybe they literally can't afford to make it cheaper. I don't fucking know. I'm not going to harp on the price too much. It is what it is. Like, I'm going to buy it, and because everything I saw was great. So to talk about to go all the way back to the start. Ooh, I'm sorry, I just kicked my fucking. It opens up with Mario Kart World, and this shit looked so fucking awesome to me. First of all, Mario Kart is just insanely fun. It's like the best racing game in my opinion. I know like people that are really in the cars, like, I don't know, real racing games because they like cars, but that shit doesn't interest me. In terms of just like mechanically being really fun, Mario Kart has always been really fun. I think it's the best racing game. It's better than Need for Speed. It's better than Forza. It's better than Gran Turismo for me, because I just like the mechanics of Mario Kart. It's a more interesting racing game.
Yeah.
So this game's coming out, 24 players in a race. You have 24 fucking people playing at the same time, which is just insane. And it's a whole interconnected world. Like, all of the racetracks in the entire game are connected to each other. And you can just drive anywhere you want. You can just like free roam, hang out with friends. Like, it's a randomly an open world racing game. It's a fucking rant. Like, it's a rant. And
that is really cool conceptually.
I like that. I like that all of the courses are connected. So when you do the Grand Prix, or you could do certain things, you can set up like, okay, we're going to race on these 4 courses, and you race. And I think they said, if I understand correctly, like when you did the Grand Prix before, it was like 4 races. And the way it worked was you did a race, and then like the race ended, and then like, load screen, you're in the next race. I think what they were saying for this is you do a race, and then you have to drive to the next course to get into the next race. So there's no like load screen. So you're like in your race, you complete that race, and then you guys are essentially racing to the next course to then race there. Like,
I hope that I hope that the in between race isn't like I hope that okay, I made it to the next race first. Then I wait for all of y'all to line up at the new one, and we line up in position of arrival. So I made it there first. I'm 1, Kenny's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way down to however many people can race in one race. But like you know, it wouldn't make sense if I'm leading the race the entire time. Like how am I? If this shit just goes on and on and on, how would I ever lose? I get a lead so crazy that it's like, bro, you'll never catch me.
I could see it being like that, where you're just dusting people, or it could be something like, because normally you end the race, let's say you end the race in third place, you start the next race in third place. It could be a thing where you're driving, you have to drive to the next racetrack, but then you have to wait for the other people.
Yeah.
But like, let's say you finish the last race in third, but then you don't get to the next race till fifth, you'll end up starting that race in fifth instead of starting in third, but it'll still wait for everybody, instead of just like letting you like go.
Yeah.
But I don't know I'm really excited because Mario Kart 8 is the best-selling game on the Switch. Has a ton of longevity. Like that game was played nonstop until the new one will come out. It's a really good game. So I'm definitely getting that game because it's a fucking $20 or $30 discount to get the bundle. So I'm just going to get the bundle, get the Mario Kart. Like, why not?
Yeah, I signed up for the pre-release, whatever they're doing, and I only bought just the Switch 2 by itself with no bundle. Even though it's probably a misplay, I probably should have just got it because of the value. But here's my logic. I imagine that most people are going to go after the bundle because the bundle is a value deal. It is a better deal to buy the bundle. You're literally getting a discount on Mario World. And then parents who want to buy the game or whatever for their children will 100% want the bundle because you need a game to play on day one. And you want something like that all of your children can play together immediately, opening it up Christmas Day or whatever day they're going to get it, mostly Christmas. But so my logic is that more people will go for the bundle, so that means there might be higher stock for just a regular console by itself. Also, and I said this earlier, but I didn't get to this part, I'm not getting a Switch 2 immediately for the sake of having one. I'm only trying to really buy one, and this is where capitalism comes in, because I want to sell it. I want to sell it and make double the money, because I know on release, it'll probably be $1,000 if I sell it immediately, because I remember what happened with the PS5 during the pandemic. We're going through a lot of the same things with supply chain issues. The supply, I imagine, for the Switch 2 is going to be low. I think that people are going to be fighting over them when they first come out. All the people who've been hating on the system all day are going to still be trying to buy it. And I just want to be there to try to get money off of it. And then eventually I will buy my Switch 2 when a game that I actually really want to play comes out. Like they will sell me one eventually. I don't need one day one, because day one, there's nothing for me to play day one. Like I looked at the games that are coming out. The game that I probably will play, I really like the Donkey Kong game. That shit looks amazing.
Yeah, that comes out 1 month later.
Yep.
1 month later.
Yeah. It looks amazing. And I would play that. Like I honestly would, but it's not enough to sell me the whole console just for that. And then I'm waiting for like ever to play the next thing. So we'll see. I know it's going to be a lot of games. I'm starting to realize though, I don't like when anything first comes out in general. Cause like the way I feel about Monster Hunter Wilds 2 is pretty much the same in the way I feel about the Switch 2. It's like Monster Hunter Wilds, we're basically being punished for getting it day one. Because, and I say this because the people who played Iceborne, like they started playing when Iceborne came out. They literally got to play all of World, because you don't have a choice. They got to play all of World with all the content that came off of World. Fucking Behemoth, the all of Witcher, all of those fucking things that came out, and Devil May Cry, fucking Resident Evil, all of the Arch-Tempered monsters, all of the extra bosses they added, all of the Gathering Hub increases, all the festivals. They got to do all of that when they first played Monster Hunter. And people like me who bought it, when it literally day one, had to wait months on months on months to get all the same content, which does sour the experience a little bit, because there's not always that much to do after you get to a certain point. It's like, I could make fake shit for myself to do in Monster Hunter if I wanted to. I'm not going to do that though, because I do not want to blatantly burn out of the game and never go back to it, because that can happen as well. I want to make sure that I still leave room for my desire to go back to it when they inevitably drop more and more shit. So like, I'm realizing, this is just like a rant, but I'm realizing that buying things when it first comes out for me is not the best idea, just because it'll be like the Switch 2 is going to be amazing a couple years in, like maybe even just 1 year in. It's going to be fucking amazing, because there's going to be, a Smash game is coming out. I don't know what to tell people. I'm standing on it. You can document this. It is April 2nd, 2025. A Smash game is coming out. And And like Kenny said, when they announce it, it won't be long before it actually drops. And it's going to be fucking insane. And I cannot wait. And so that's going to be a guaranteed seller. Monster Hunter is going to come out. And that's going to be another big seller. And so, yeah, I when that day comes, I will eventually buy it for myself to own.
Yeah, for me, I'm definitely getting a day one. I'm not getting two of them. I'll probably end up getting two one day because like me and Connie.
Yeah.
So we're going to start off with just one because like definitely can't afford two.
Yeah, two is like $1,000. So
yeah, so we're just going to get one, and then like
is crazy.
Maybe when like some other version of it comes out, like maybe if a Zelda one comes out for like whatever new Zelda game comes out.
Yeah.
Not counting the other Hyrule Warriors, which I'll talk about. But whatever it may happen, just like in the future, I'll probably get a second one. We'll see. But for now, I'm just getting one. I'm getting the Mario Kart. I'm going to play the shit out of it. It's going to be a gigantic game. 24 playable characters, 24 active racers. Who knows how many playable characters? And just like this whole interconnected racing world. I think that's going to be a really, really big game, and I think a lot of people are going to have a lot of fun with that.
Oh, they are. I know Hydro Pump, one of the longtime supporters of this channel and our Patreon. Hydro Pump actually plays Mario Kart really well because when he came to, or I should say, when we went to North Carolina, the first ever Ultimate Time Wizard, I think it was, in 2023. It was me, Cairo, like the house. The house was basically there, and we were in an Airbnb, like me, Vinny, Sean McCabe was there randomly, Cameron Saunders was there. Point is, Hydro was destroying people in Mario Kart. Like, he's really, really good at it. At least from what I could tell, like he was commandingly winning every race against everybody who had the sticks. And he was calm about it. But I just noticed that people who are good at that game are just like really good at it. I've never been a Mario Kart guy ever, but I was a Diddy Kong. I love Diddy Kong Racing. That was like the only racing game in my entire life that I really went crazy for. I love Diddy Kong Racing.
Yeah, that game was good.
Diddy Kong Racing was so good on 64, but I never got into Mario Kart. I remember when Double Dash came out, and I was so jealous of everyone being so happy to play it and do their little like drifting thing and all that. Not just racing games. Yeah. Something about cars has never interested me. Something about driving has never interested me. I don't know what it is about. Like, it just has never been my thing. And I'm sure, again, I know the games are fantastic. For people who love them, they seem to really love them. Mario Kart is one of the best-selling games of all time. So, like, it doesn't need me at all. But it's just like, I wish that on launch, something like a game that I would play, like a Smash or Monster Hunter or something like that, was just happening on launch.
Yeah.
I just want one time for a launch to have a game that I would go crazy for, because it has to feel so good.
Yeah, no, it's going to, I mean, I don't think any launch will ever be better. Or, okay, at least up until now in my life, there's no launch that's better than Breath of the Wild. Like the Nintendo Switch coming out with Breath of the Wild.
That's a crazy launch title.
That murders every launch title I've ever experienced.
That's a crazy launch title. I don't know all the launch titles, but I imagine that has to be the number one launch title.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah,
so,
that is ridiculous.
Yeah, Mario Kart World is going to be sick. I just, all the characters in it. And then we talked about how there's going to be the upgrade thing. Like, I'm not getting that Mario Party upgrade, but like, that's cool. But Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, I'm definitely getting that. And I just cannot wait, because day one, I'm going to boot Breath of the Wild and like just play it in fucking 120 FPS. It's going to be crazy. I'm going to go to Korok Forest, which was the part that the game struggled the most to run. That was like where you would see frame dips. I'm going to go there, and I'm just going to like take it all in, baby.
Quick question. I know we were talking about this briefly in our call today. So there are ways to play that game on PC, and if I played it on PC right now, would that forest be problematic, or would it be fine because I'm playing it on PC?
Nah, on PC you can run the game at like fucking 240,
and it'll just be fine. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
it's just all hardware. You can run it on PC and like not have any issues.
Okay. I see what you're saying then. So it's like a hardware thing. The game wasn't like fucked. It's just the actual hardware. It was like not capable of running such a ridiculous game, like a robust game like that. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it ran it really well, but there were some areas where it struggled, like Korok Forest specifically.
Yeah. I mean, even Monster Hunter Wilds right now, there are areas, even with my PC, that when I go to, I'm like, this area is not optimized, because I know it's not my machine, because again, luckily I stress tested my machine by playing God of War Ragnarok on stream, and like that game, the graphics of that game and some of the things that were happening in that game are fucking absurd. So I was like, I know graphically it can handle anything, but then there's certain points where you get to in Monster Hunter Wilds and it's like, it is not doing good right here. And like, this
they
area
confirm
is just
that they're going to be re-optimizing it.
Yes, improvement patches and things like that. So it's a fact. But okay, so that's good to know. So if I ever decide to play Breath of the Wild, I have options. I can play it on PC as is right now, or I could wait until the upgrade comes out for Switch 2 and like play it on Switch 2, and that's also, you know, on the table.
Yeah, it'll give you something to play on the Switch 2. But yeah, I'm gonna be playing it, Breath of the Wild. I don't know if I'm going to like make a new file or what. Like,
oh right, because you can just transfer your data.
Yeah, I can transfer my data, but I'm half tempted to like play Breath of the Wild from scratch and then like play Tears of the Kingdom from scratch on like the new hardware, just because those games are incredible anyway. And then I guess on the Zelda note, the biggest highlight for me was the new Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. I lost my fucking mind for that, man. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity is insane. It's the best, in my opinion, the best Warriors game ever made.
Right, because like those Dynasty are like Warriors. Dynasty Warrior games, right?
Yeah, like Dynasty Warriors, One Piece Warriors, all those Warriors game. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity is like, in terms of mechanically, like the best one. It feels so fucking good to play. And the combat's really good. The bosses are really fun. So I really wanted another one. And I didn't think I was going to get one, but I am.
It's funny.
The fact that I'm getting
2 days ago.
Another. Yeah.
2 days ago, me and Kenny were talking about Zelda in general, because I've been on a Zelda kick. And if you guys have been listening to every podcast episode by now, you know that I've been on this really big Zelda kick. And I'm even streaming Ocarina of Time right now. Right. And everyone's coming in the chat and they're like, yo, is this like, why does it look so good? How are you doing this? And it's like, yeah, it's on PC. I got a texture pack to make it look it's 4K. It's great. It's as good as it can be. Right.
Yeah.
The game's amazing. Still love it. But I'm on a Zelda kick. And a couple days ago, Kenny was like, Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, and the Age of Calamity.
Yep.
They are a trilogy. And like, he's like, so you don't have to worry about another game coming out. And then literally today, as I'm watching the fucking Nintendo Direct, I start seeing Zelda characters and they're talking about the Age of Imprisonment, which I already know, without ever having played any of those 3 games. I already know what that's about. And that the title of it alone makes me want to play that trilogy, because I love the War of Imprisonment. Sounds fucking nuts. Like,
yeah, the imprisoning war, baby.
Bro, that just sounds so nuts. Like, Ganon is a problem, okay?
Yes, like, the fuck he is.
Ganon is a problem. So I just
this
high key, yeah.
This game's going to be insane, because Dynasty Warriors are so good at making like war games. Like, there's thousands of fucking people you got to kill on the map.
Yeah.
And I have a friend that's like upset because he loves Zelda, and he's like, I don't want to play a Warriors game to get more of the story.
Right. This is a prequel to all of them, right?
It's a yeah.
They said it was a prequel. It's like before.
Because the imprisoning war, is like fucking, I don't know, it's like fucking 5,000 years.
It's ages before. Yeah.
Yeah. And then at the start of Tears of the Kingdom, Zelda goes back in time to like that time period, and she's part of the imprisoning war and all that shit.
Zelda's broken. She's fucking broken.
She's crazy.
Just a time traveler.
But this game is going to be crazy, and the Warriors games are so like, this game is about a war. So like, a Warriors game is the perfect kind of game to have that in, because you're playing as like different key soldiers, and then you also have like a whole fucking army, and you're fighting a war and doing all this crazy shit. So the gameplay is going to be great. I think Warriors games have really good gameplay. They've evolved a lot further than just being like button mashers, what a lot of people think. If you think you can button mash your way through like some of those bosses, like, I don't know, good fucking luck.
Yeah.
Some of those bosses in Warriors games, like, I promise you can't button mash your way through. Unless you're playing on easy, but like, that's the case for anything.
Yeah, I was about to say, easy mode on anything is not really fun for us at this point. So
I can't play on easy mode. Yeah. So Hyrule Warriors is going to be really big. I'm super pumped about the GameCube add-on thing. Like, right now on the Switch, you can play like Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, NES. You can play Sega randomly. And they're finally adding the GameCube catalog. And over time, they're going to add more and more games.
So wait, the GameCube catalog has never been added? Like, it's not on the Switch?
No.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No. So like, on the Switch 2, on launch, I believe, we're going to get Wind Waker, F-Zero GX, and fucking Soul Calibur 2, the one with Link in it.
Yeah, you know what's so funny?
So sick.
I swear the universe is doing something right now, because again, I've been on this Zelda kick for the last week. It literally just started a week ago, max.
Yeah.
Maybe not even a week ago. Like, it literally started whenever we podcasted.
Oh, yeah, because you've been talking about you want to play the Wind Waker.
Yes.
You were like, I want to play Wind Waker next.
Specifically Wind Waker, though.
Yeah.
Like, specific, because I never played that one. And I was like, I always low-key wanted to play it. But again, my life started taking a different turn when it came to gaming around that exact time and stuff. So I stopped playing games as much as I used to, and I just started playing more Yu-Gi-Oh, going to locals every day. Instead of being in the house and playing games, I was like get home from school, go to locals. And that was my life for a while. And so gaming became like a secondary thing where I would game when I could. That's when I found Monster Hunter. And then Monster Hunter was like, took over. But anyway, yeah, I never played Wind Waker. I believe Wind Waker won a lot of like acclaim during its time. I remember being a highly acclaimed game. Resident Evil 4, and I remember Wind Waker being really highly acclaimed at the time of release and stuff like that. Like when people got to settle in with those games, Resident Evil 4.
It's in my top 5.
Okay.
Zelda games. It's in my top 5 Zelda games.
Like, yeah, and there's a lot of them, so.
Yeah.
What's your top 5 Zelda games? Do you have your top 5?
I'm going to give this list without counting Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom at the moment. This is my list pre Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and it's number 1 is Majora's Mask. I think it was number 2 is Wind Waker. Or no, I always get Wind Waker and Majora's Mask mixed up. They trade places, like they trade 1 and 2. Like every other year, I trade which one is 1 and 2. But it's Majora's Mask and Wind Waker as number 1 and 2. And then it's Ocarina of Time, and then A Link to the Past. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. And what was 5? Majora's Mask, Wind Waker, Ocarina of Time,
Sword, there's Twilight
Past,
Princess, there's
and then
Diminish Cap. Is that one of them, or am I?
It's probably either Twilight Princess or Skyward Sword. I forget. I can't remember, but it's probably either Skyward Sword or Twilight Princess. But now it's like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and I don't know how to tear those two apart. So it's probably going to be like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, I feel like that's one game, because those two kind of like Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask. Even though I would say there's enough of a difference between Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time, and enough of a difference between Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild to say that they are different games, but they are directly related to each other in a way that other Zelda games are not.
Yeah.
Like they are directly related. Like you're playing the same Link, right? In both of those games, you're playing the exact same Link.
Yeah, so my number 1 would be like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, and then it's like Wind Waker, Majora's Mask, Ocarina of Time, A Link to the Past.
I follow, yeah. I mean, that's fair. That makes sense. And this is kind of confirmation bias for what I always say. There's no better time than the present. The best Zelda game to you is the current Zelda game, which...
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're insane.
I'm not surprised. And this is how I don't like to get into arguments with people about this type of thing, but I know some people are very heavy on nostalgia. And like, while I love Ocarina of Time, right? I love that game down. I would be surprised if Ocarina of Time is still the best Zelda game objectively now in 2025, because I it will go against what I believe, and I truly believe that like Monster Hunter Wilds is a better game than Monster Hunter 2 Portable. Like I just believe that. For real. I think Rise is a better game than World, right? Like I think that the current is usually going to be better, and the closer you get to the current, the better the games and the better movies.
Every now and then there's like some missteps.
There's always going to be nuances.
Every now and then there's like a stinker.
There's always nuances, and we could probably do an entire podcast talking about things that were better before, right? Like things that are fucked up now that were just blatantly better in the past. But for the most part, I do think that like music is probably one of the things that I think is timeless. Music transcends like a lot of things.
Yeah.
So a lot of times people's music they love the most is like whatever resonated with them at coming of age or whatever, like around that time. I play a lot of old music myself, right? Like I listen to a lot of old shit. I like the new shit too. I'm not like a complete boomer, but I do like the old shit more. And I think that my playlist would tell you that. So, but I would be surprised if Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are not the best Zelda games, because I mean they are the most recent, they're the most robust, they're the most complete, they're the biggest. Like with the world I have to imagine a world is bigger by a lot.
Yeah, I mean I think the Great Plateau in Breath of the Wild, which is like the starting area when you start the game, that's like where the start of the game is, and you have to like do a couple things before you can like go to the rest of the world. But I think the Great Plateau is like something like 10 times bigger than like all of Twilight Princess. Or like something crazy. I don't know. Like
God,
that number might not be all the way correct, but the Great Plateau, which is this tiny speck on the map, is like a couple times bigger than all of Twilight Princess. So it's like it's crazy.
That's pretty absurd.
And then like there's the rest of the map. So Zelda's going crazy. Frazier's in a Zelda mood, and then Nintendo's like, by the way, here's the Soul Calibur with Link. Oh, here's also Wind Waker again.
Yeah.
And then it's cool because Mario Sunshine's going to be on there. Fire Emblem Path of Radiance is going to be on there, and then various
Melee.
other games. It's not there yet. It's not confirmed yet, but
that
we can hope.
Has to. They want to make money. I have to imagine.
Yeah. They got it. They got to put Melee there. By the way, speaking of Speaking of like the present is always the best. Imagine arguing with somebody that when Brawl came out. You know what I mean? Like you're in the middle of Brawl, and you're like, "This is better than May." You know what I mean?
That's an example of where it just. Yeah, there you go. That's a good example, though, right there. At the time of in 2008, Brawl was not the best Smash game. In 2008,
not at all.
Brawl just wasn't the best Smash game.
No.
So there you go. That's a great example. So, I'm happy where we are. I'm glad that the Switch 2 is coming out. It's about time. Like, the Switch has been out for a very long time, and I still think that it is the best concept for a gaming console ever, and I stand by. I think that Sony and Microsoft, and I think they should just blatantly copy it. Like, copy that exact model. I think it's the best model for gaming. The Steam Deck, I think all really of those. Good. I think it's just the future. Having a console that you can take with you. Like, if I could take Monster Hunter Wilds with me at all times, that would be fucking insane. Like,
it's painful that I can,
but I can't.
Yeah, it's painful that I can't. That's the other thing too. Like, to your point where you were saying, like, because some people might be like, "Bro, you're capping. There's no way Wilds is better than World." And it goes to what you were already saying, that like the only like flaw that Wilds has right now, and it's not a flaw, it's just that the rest of the game's not out yet.
Yeah.
It needs to be updated, and stuff is going to happen over time. The exact same thing happened with World.
Yeah,
if you compare Wilds to World right now, World has 5 years of content updates baked into it, whereas Wilds just came out a month ago.
I actually hate that when people talk about it.
It doesn't have the content updates yet.
People talk about World Online and they talk about World and Iceborne. They have on like these fucking revisionist history goggles that piss me off, because they're like, "Oh, World was like so much better, blah blah blah," and they are literally factoring in all of World and all of Iceborne and comparing it to literally month 1, right? Like, we are 1 month in right now as we record. We are 1 month in.
We're getting an update in 2-3 days.
Tomorrow night.
Yeah.
So, like, I just think it's crazy when people are comparing it, and they just seem to, like, I was there. This is one of the things I love saying about retro formats, and when people bring it up in Yu-Gi-Oh!, I'll tell people all the time, I was there. I lived it. You cannot lie to me. Like, I played World, and I remember the same thing that's happening to me right now with Wilds, where it's like, luckily, there is an update coming out literally tomorrow, but I haven't played Wilds in 4 or 5 days now. I've been playing Zelda. I've been, like, doing other stuff, and that's fine. I finally got to a point where I was like, okay, I can safely just not play this game for a little while. And luckily, there's more content coming out. And I remember the exact same thing happening with World, which is to my point of like, being an early adopter sometimes isn't a great thing. It's nice to be like, oh, I have the new thing day one. It is nice. Like, that is a good feeling. And my child self misses that feeling for everything. I still get the iPhone day one, right? I still do it sometimes, but some things like gaming, I'm realizing, it doesn't make sense for me to get stuff to get day one all the time, at least with consoles and stuff like that, just because I don't always have something to do with them. Yeah,
I guess there's an argument to be made for like Monster Hunter, where it's like, maybe you just wait until like the Sunbreak comes out,
right?
Because like, that's gonna be hard to do.
It would be impossible for me to do that because of how much I think both of us just love Monster Hunter. It would be really hard to just not have that initial grind, because those first weeks are so good for Monster Hunter. Like, those first weeks of playing with everyone, I don't like. I shouldn't say I don't like. I think it sucks a little bit for people who always start Monster Hunter games late, and everyone is already Hunter rank 100, and they're literally in low rank trying to just get out of low rank, and you're like in-game equipment, Elder Dragon farming. You've got all these decorations. They don't even know what decorations are yet. Like, your layered armor, your layered weapon, your cat has all the skills that it could possibly learn. And they literally just have the bare bones of everything. Y'all get into hunts together. You have to dumb your character down to even make it like fair. I don't like that that's a thing that happens when you get left behind. And I wouldn't want to be like left behind and not get to be in voice chat with my friends on the first days. Find like, oh shit, did you see that attack he just did or whatever?
Yeah.
Or like, oh, he just killed me. Or, that is fun. But there is a drawback to it in that, you are playing a game that is going to literally get years of, like, there are going to be at least 3 years worth of content for this game. Like 100%.
Yeah. God, that arc veld, the boom, boom, boom.
Yes.
The arc veld
explosion. The first time I saw it, I was like, what the fuck is happening? Like,
that arc veld explosion is insane.
Yeah. So I can't wait. I can't wait until time passes. Switch 2 is going to have a lot of development, a lot of games. It is literally, we're in month.
It's not even out yet.
We're in month -2. We're in month -2 right now.
The fact that it's coming out in 2 months is crazy. It's going to come out. There's going to be like right away for me, there's going to be shit to do. Cause like, I'm going to be like playing Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
I'll be playing the new Mario Kart. And then like 1 month later, the first 3D Donkey Kong game since the Nintendo 64 is coming out. Like, Donkey Kong has not had a 3D game
really good
since Nintendo 64, and it looks awesome. And I'm
he
so
was
pumped
punching through everything.
Yeah, he was just destroying the environment.
This is what I wanted to say too before I lose this thought. Smash. Yeah. I know I've been talking about Smash Bros. Coming out, and it's going to be a huge seller of the Switch too, which is another reason why I think the Smash is getting a game, because Smash sells consoles. Period.
Yeah.
The end. That Donkey Kong is a reworked Donkey Kong. Like the way he looks, he just looks different than every other Donkey Kong has ever looked.
Yeah, he looks like a reimagination to me. I was talking to Stango about this. He looks like a reimagination of the original arcade Donkey Kong.
Yep.
Like when you were Jumpman and you're jumping over the barrels and he's up at the top throwing it down.
Yep.
Like if you look at the artwork of that with like the black around his eyes, like this Donkey Kong looks like a rework, a reimagination of that one. And it's just a really cool, new, like unique looking Donkey Kong.
And the way he's fighting in this Donkey Kong game, all I kept thinking was, oh God, Donkey Kong is going to get a complete rework in next Smash game.
I hope. Man.
Kenny, here's what I'm thinking. Hopefully it doesn't take super long, but I really do think that the Smash characters, the ones that have been in the game since Smash 1, are going to get reworked. And I think that this Donkey Kong is going to be the Donkey Kong. We're going to obviously get Tears of the Kingdom Link, right? Like, you know, we're going to, like, I don't think we're getting Breath of the Wild Link anymore. You know, he's going to, you know, the blue bomb and all that. Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
But I think we're getting Green Hand fucking Link in the next one. And
that'd be insane. That'd be so insane. There's so much that they could do. Like, that's why I want, and not everybody agrees with this, but that's why I've been saying this for a couple years now, that I want the next Smash to be like a reboot, just because I want them to be like really dial in and like retool a lot of the characters, like Donkey Kong and Ganon and stuff like that. And really make them, because like, especially the characters that are from the Nintendo 64 Smash, like they're just outdated in a lot of ways. They're just really, really outdated when you compare them to like if Ganon was a fucking Fighter Pass character in Ultimate, he would be so ridiculously OD.
Unreal.
It'd be crazy. But because he came out in Melee, and
he was
not just Melee,
Falcon. Captain Falcon.
He was like at it in like the last 3 months of Melee's development. He was like a last minute add to the game. He just ended up with like, oh, let's just try to get him in the game because it's cool. But then he ended up keeping that moveset, and it ended up holding him down, you know, for the next fucking 15 years. So
yeah, I agree.
I do think another Smash game has to come. I just don't know in what way. I don't know if they're going to do like a Nintendo Switch 2 advanced version of Smash Ultimate. If they're going to make a brand new game. I don't really know what direction they're going to go in, but like it's going to happen in some way.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind however they do it. I'll take a reboot, and I will also take, and I've said this before, I am so down for Smash Ultimate Deluxe, whatever you want to call it. I don't care what they call it. I'm so down for Smash Ultimate to just continue the way Mario Party 8 or whatever it was called. Mario Party 8 Deluxe came out, I think, or something like that recently. Whatever happened with that, I'm so down for that to happen with Smash Ultimate. They literally keep the exact same roster and just do a new fighter pass and start doing new fighter passes. And they also obviously retooled the game in a way that makes sense, because the game
that would be insane if they do that.
I would love it. I don't know if they have the license to do that. I don't know how that all works. I'm not some fucking expert on law and contracts and stuff like that. But if that were possible, that would also just sell consoles.
Yeah,
flat out.
I'd be so down.
You would only be able to play it on the Switch 2. It would not be. You can't do it on the Switch. It is a Switch 2 game. And if you already have Smash Ultimate, you could do the upgrade thing. It would be like that.
Yeah.
Like they would work it in that model.
Yeah. So new Donkey Kong looks. I'm definitely getting that day one as well. Bravely Default remaster is really cool. I love Bravely Default. The fact that we're getting a remaster to the original Bravely Default is fucking awesome. That game is really, really good. If you've never played it, I just highly recommend it. Awesome game, some awesome like plot and plot twists that happen in it. Elden Ring is coming to the Switch too. So like once again, just like games that the Switch like really couldn't dream of running. Like we're gonna have a new From Software game. I forget what it's called, but for the people that are like super into Dark Souls and From Software games, like you got that coming. I also thought it was funny. They were like, this is the last game announcement. And they showed that FromSoft game. And then it was like, we have the final game announcement. And they showed like Donkey Kong. And then they showed something else, right? Something else came after Donkey Kong.
Was it?
Something else came before
Kirby?
Donkey Kong. Oh, yeah. And then Kirby. So when we were watching Kirby, me and Stango were watching Kirby. And so first of all, we watch it and there's like a star in the sky and the star starts falling. And then so me and Stanger were like, oh my God, is this fucking Smash?
That's what I thought
and then
too.
It's Kirby.
Obviously, I wanted it to be Smash.
We're looking at Kirby, and we're like, okay, it's Kirby, but Kirby could still mean Smash.
Kirby could absolutely mean Smash. Wasn't Kirby the only thing that survived fucking Ultimate?
Yeah. Kirby was the main character of Smash Ultimate.
Yeah.
So me and Stango were like, it's Kirby, but Kirby could still mean Smash.
Yeah, I think they did that on purpose, bro. I'm telling you. I think they really did that on purpose because they know that Kirby kind of means Smash.
And then we got Kirby Air Riders, which is really cool. Kirby Air Ride was super fucking fun. The only thing that's disappointing about Air Riders is that it's going to be competing with Mario Kart, and there's no way it's going to sell as much as Mario Kart.
Yeah.
And I kind of wish instead of making Air Riders, they just like worked some of that Kirby stuff into the Mario Kart game. That might be asking for too much, but that's really sick. I grew up with Kirby Air Ride as well on the GameCube. I don't know. There's so much stuff. The communication features are really cool. Also, this was in the last Direct. This was like one of the relevant things from the last Direct. I really like where they're going with like the game sharing and how that's going to work with like sharing your digital games. They're just like making really good advancements on like all the systems they already have in place.
Okay, so now we're on communication. I forgot about this a little bit, but they have like
Discord.
The fake Discord. I'm glad you called it that before I got to it. Yeah, the fake Discord. It just seems like a little late because now everyone is used to just having Discord integration with their platform.
Yeah.
If you're not a PC gamer, even if you're a PS5 gamer or a Xbox whatever series gamer, you just have Discord integration. Everyone has a Discord now. Discord is like the number one way to communicate for all gamers. Yep. So it's like, sure, this is cool. There's a in-house chat thing, and I think that for kids, it's going to be great. That is not marketed to me and Kenny though. Like we will just be on Discord.
At first, I got so hyped because I thought it was Discord.
Me too.
It looks exactly like Discord.
When people were talking, the box lit up green. I said, "Oh shit, they got Discord."
Yeah, and then I realized, like, wait a minute. I don't think this is Discord at all.
No, it's
I think
not.
There's like some in-house Nintendo.
Yeah. It looked exactly
really
like
cool,
Discord.
But at the same time, it's like you
late.
could have just did Discord.
Yeah, it's just late. It's something that if it happened when the Switch launched, like if this was for the Switch 1, it would have been insane, I think.
Also, I think they could have just saved money if they just went with Discord.
Yeah,
like they wouldn't have had to develop whatever this.
Yeah,
like they could have just went with Discord, and it probably would have been cheaper.
Whatever this is crazy. They would have to develop whatever this is. Like you just say
listen, I'm a fanboy, but I call shit out.
Just say, like it's so funny the way you just whatever this is. So you know what I was scared of too? I saw the peripherals, the fucking camera. I saw the little camera, and I was like, oh no, that's going to be $90. So one, I was wrong about the price, thank God, because I was just scared that everything was going to be outrageously expensive. So I saw the little camera, I was like, that's going to be a $90.
How much is the camera? I don't even know.
It's $49.99, so it's $50.
Okay.
Which is not that bad. But here's the thing though. I read some more. It says that the Switch 2 is compatible with any USB-C camera.
Yeah.
So you don't need that. So I already have, like everyone already has, well, not everyone, but most people have a USB-C camera somewhere. And so
and if you don't, like you can buy this little Switch one.
Yeah, for $50. I was like, that's actually not a bad price for a camera. But the fact that it can be used with any USB-C camera, like my fucking DSLR that I'm looking at right now, that's recording this video of me, like where you can see my skin. This is it's connected via USB-C to my PC via USB. Like it has a USB-C port. It does all the things. So I assume that I might be able to use this camera with it. If not, I actually have a Logitech Brio, which is another USB-C camera that I no longer use. I got that. That's when we first started doing the podcast. I had that for 2 years, and then I eventually upgraded to this thing. I still have that camera. It's just like in a drawer somewhere collecting dust. But I could use that for the Switch 2 as well. So I was happy that like I don't need the Nintendo proprietary camera for it. At least that's at least that's what I read. So I was happy about that.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to need that, which is really good.
Also the new controller, the Pro controller, it has customizable buttons. Like the fucking
yes, it does.
There was these 2 new buttons, which I was like, oh man, that's actually so good because I play with PS5 controller for Monster Hunter Wilds, and the PS5 controller for me is great. I love it. I really, really like this thing, but I do wish that it had 2 programmable buttons right behind where you grab this, grab the stick, because it's only because of the fucking Insight Glaive and the way the Insight Glaive works. There's a charging mechanic with the Insight Glaive that does not work with focus mode the way fingers are designed. Like the way the human hand is designed, there's no way for you to do focus mode, move your camera, aim your attack, charge up, press the triangle button while charging circle. There's no way to do all of that with a regular control. You need the extra buttons. You need programmable buttons. So I would love, if not, granted, I'm playing on PC. I can remap whatever I want on my PS5 controller, but like, it would just be nice to have programmable buttons.
And it also just doesn't have extra buttons. Like it just doesn't have.
It does not have, exactly. All the buttons are currently being used for something, right?
Yeah.
So
like my controller, I have it's called the 8-bit dough. It's a really, really good quality controller.
Yep.
It has, I'll put it up to the camera to show Frazier, but you can't even see it. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But where L1 and L2 are, right? Next to them, next to them is like another button. So there's a third button on each side up there, and that's a programmable button. So it's like right where L1 and L2 are. I'm not going to call it L3 because that's already kind of a thing, but there's essentially like a third L4. L and R button.
Yeah. I actually saw that controller because when I sold my PS5 last week, obviously I lost my controller in that sale. And I didn't realize that at first. So I was like, oh yeah, you could just take it home tonight. And then I was like, actually, because I was playing Monster Hunter, I was like, actually, you can't because I need to order an overnight PS5 controller. And then I said, oh, I have the option to not even get a PS5 controller because the only reason I played Monster Hunter Wilds with a PS5 controller is because I had a PS5.
That's what I have.
That's what I have. Then I realized I could get any controller. So then I started going on a rabbit hole of YouTube videos, the best gaming controllers. And I actually got a little bit overwhelmed for the first time. Usually when I watch a bunch of videos like that, like that's how I got my gaming PC. I watched a couple channels that had like a lot of subs and just very reputable channels to figure out what's the best gaming PC I could buy that I don't have to build. Because I'm not building a PC myself. My friends know how to do that. And if I wanted that, I could actually have that done. But I was like, I want to just buy a PC and like have a warranty on it and have all the things right from a company and it pre-built and it's fine, but I also don't want to get ruined on the price. And I found after a while of YouTube searching, I found the channel that was like, yo, right now this PC is 3K. 3K is obviously a lot for a computer, but the fucking graphics card is literally $2,000 right now. Like the 4090, and even as we record this, the 4090 is still 2K. So he's like, if you just factor in the fact that you're getting a pre-built with a 4090, he's like, there's not some bullshit like refurbished part. It's not refurbished. There's nothing refurbished in this thing at all. They're using MSI. It's like all good stuff. He was like, this is on sale right now. It's $500 off. He's like, this deal is insane. And I bought it. Yeah. And why did it sell out? A week after I bought it, the shit said sold out. Like it was crazy. I bought it on like Newegg had this deal. And so I say all to say, I was looking for a new controller. I came across the 8-bit though. So I actually know the buttons you're talking about because I saw a whole review on that controller. I saw that one. There's all these Xbox controllers and stuff. Like these cool looking Xbox controllers. There's a bunch of controllers you could buy now, basically. And some of them are very expensive. And some of them are like reasonable. Like the 8-bit one that you have is reasonable. There were controllers that were like $250.
What's crazy is that those controllers that are like $250, I've had some of them. I've never bought one personally, but I've had them gifted to me. I've had two controllers that were like over $200 that were gifted to me. And they're fine, but like I'd argue that they suck. And because they don't last. The really big, like super expensive best controllers are really good. They do not last. They do not have a good shelf life. There's things that end up going wrong with them in various directions. The 8-bit though, from all of my personal testing and then also just research, is like arguably the best controller you can get, and if not the best, it's like top 3, top 5.
Yeah, it was in all
like
the reviews. $30. One of the top ones. Crazy.
Yeah, it's like $30, and it fucking does everything.
Yeah,
like it does everything every other controller does for $30, and it has build quality that just lasts.
Yep.
So it's a really, really good controller.
It was one of the ones I was considering, and because it was so cheap, like you said, I said, well, I could just buy this whenever I want. Like it's still on the table. I replaced my PS5 controller with just a new PS5 controller, and I think it was like, well, what ended up happening is I ended up having so much Amazon points because I use an Amazon credit card for everything. Like all my bills are on this Amazon credit card, all my flights, all my hotels, everything that I buy is on this one credit card that I use. I have multiple credit cards, but I use this one for everything because the bang for your buck, my spending just becomes actual Amazon money. And to me, Amazon money is real money because I'm buying like real things. So I went on to buy my PS5 controller and it said that I had $96 in fucking Amazon money. And I was like, well, this is just like quote unquote free right now. So I just bought it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
awesome.
So I might still buy the 8-bit one just because it sucks. I didn't realize I was going to want to try to Insect Glaive out until after I bought the controller. And then I fucking bought, I tried Insect Glaive. I was like, oh my God. Then I started watching videos about Insect Glaive, like tutorials. And they were like, yeah, it kind of sucks right now if you just have a regular controller because Capcom did not think about this when they made this weapon. Like the optimal way to play the weapon, you really just can't do with a regular controller unless you do a claw type grip thing. I'm not going back to that shit. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, no, fuck that.
And they wanted me to use focus mode bullshit. And I was like, I'm not using focus mode bullshit or toggle as they call it.
I think there's versions of there's a bunch of 8-bit those. So there's probably one with like grip buttons that are like more down by the handles. This one, I don't know exactly what this Insect Glaive thing is, but because these extra programmable buttons are in the same place as where L1 and L1, R1, R2, L2 are.
Yep.
It might not help you that much because it's right there anyway.
Right.
And like your fingers are already like doing other stuff. So I don't know if that'll help you in that regard, but I think there's other 8-bit though controllers that you can.
There are. I definitely need one where I can use my fingers that are not being used at all. Like these bottom 3 fingers here, they're not being used to play video games. Like they're just kind of chilling. So I definitely want like this middle finger here to just be able to like press stuff. But there, like you said, there's other ones.
The new Switch, we're saying all this to say the new Switch Pro controller is going to be able to do that. Which
exactly. That was the point. Yeah, that was the original point.
It has like these programmable buttons down on the grip, which is
I'm so surprised
awesome.
Nintendo is some of the things that Nintendo did with this console. I was really surprised about.
Yeah, I mean they're doing things that it's just so funny because like. And I mean, Nintendo always does this. They push the market in terms of consoles, and then people copy them. Like the fact that the Joy-Cons are the Joy-Cons, and then they're just like a mouse. Like they're just a mouse. Like you just use them as a mouse.
Use them for the Switch 2. That became a thing, right?
Yeah, for the Switch 2, the Joy-Cons are a mouse.
Yeah, I saw them put them face down, and you started moving it.
Yeah, and like that's fucking sick. That's going to be useful. Like if they put, let's say, Marvel Rivals, right? If they put Marvel Rivals on the Switch, it's going to be so funny because. In a lot of games, like in Fortnite, for example, a lot of people make fun of like the Nintendo kids because they're playing on a Switch and like they make fun of them. What's really funny now, though, is that the Nintendo kids that are playing Fortnite on the Switch 2 are going to dunk on the fucking PlayStation 5 kids because the PlayStation 5 kids aren't using a mouse.
Right.
The Switch 2 kids have like they can be using a mouse on the Switch 2. And that's going to be crazy because they're just going to dunk on everybody because they're using a fucking mouse.
Yeah. So a mouse, it's just like I've never been a first-person shooter or even third. I've never been any kind of shooter game person. But basically, what I understand is that using a mouse for anything where you're shooting people is just superior to controller. Is what you're like.
It's not close.
And it's just not
like,
close.
And this is not an exaggeration, but it'd be like, let's say you're playing Smash, right? And let's say I'm using a GameCube controller. And you're using a stick with a string. Like,
yeah.
Like that's literally like
it
is so far and away like the precision you can have with aiming on a controller stick
like getting
versus a mouse, it's just not even close. And it's for multiple reasons other than the architecture of like the mechanical thing, like the thing you're using just being a better machine. Or whatever. The other thing is, and you don't realize this when you use a mouse, you're using so many more muscles. When you use your mouse, you're using your entire hand, like all of your fingers. You're using your wrist. You're using your forearm. You're using your shoulder. Yeah. When you use a mouse, you're using the entirety of your arm, especially when you're playing a video game and an intensive video game where you're like shooting and aiming.
Yeah.
You use
I'm over here playing with my
many
mouse right
more
now.
muscles.
I feel it. I'm over here playing with my mouse right now and I feel it. Like I feel I'm holding my mouse and I'm literally using everything on my right side right now.
Whereas when you use a thumbstick, you're really just like using your thumb and like maybe your wrist. You're not really, you just don't have as much like precise control.
Yeah, precision control. Yeah. I see.
Yeah, it's not even close. Like a mouse compared to a thumbstick is not close. Like when I was playing Marvel Rivals, I started off just using controller. I
remember one guy trying to explain it to me like I was an idiot, and I loved it. He was like, "Well, you take your PS3 controller and you go and aim at me." He's like, "And I'm gonna point at you and I'm gonna click and you're gonna fucking die." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "I'm gonna move my fucking mouse and point at your character's head and you're going to die."
Yep.
That's what's going to happen. I'm going to point at I'm going to be staring at my screen. I'm going to see, there's Frazier, and I'm going to fucking put my finger over his head, and I'm going to click, and your character's going to die. They're going to go down. And I was like, that's
crazy. Yeah. In Marvel Rivals, when I first started playing that, I was playing with a controller because I don't really like the way keyboard feels for controlling like a game.
Me either. The whole like WAS whatever. Yeah, that whole thing.
WASD. I don't like it. I can do it, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
So I was using a controller and I was able to tell like I'm handicapped. Like I'm not able to keep up with other people just on aim alone. So what I did is I made it so that my computer read my controller as a keyboard. And so I was literally holding half my controller. I was just holding the stick and I was using like L1, L2, the stick and the D-pad.
Someone else does that.
I was using that, and then I was holding my mouse in my other hand.
Yep.
And then so I was aiming, and my mouse has mouse buttons. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 9 buttons on my mouse. So between my controller and my mouse, I have plenty of buttons.
Yeah,
so I'm just like I do my movement with the controller, and then I just like aim with my mouse, and then I have like all these buttons at my disposal, and it felt so fucking good. Immediately using a mouse, I was so much better at just like aiming, and there was 70% of that game's roster I couldn't use on a controller because like I could feel that I was too like I couldn't keep up in terms of aiming. I switched to a mouse. And immediately I was able to just like use characters I could never dream of using when I was using controller.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. So yeah, the Switch 2 has a mouse.
Switch 2 has a mouse. It's fucking dope. It does all kinds of, and that mouse lets you play. Okay, real quick, trigger warning. Okay, I'm gonna say something that might trigger people.
Not trigger people.
Dude, the Crippled Kobe game is sick. All right. I was so hype at the fucking wheelchair basketball game.
Yeah, like the accessibility game.
That shit looked crazy.
Not the crippled. Okay. I did see that, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like representation matters, all the things. But,
but it's not even just representation though, because if you're in a wheelchair and you're playing basketball. But they like go up ramps to dunk.
Yeah.
Like they don't do that in real life.
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
Like
well,
y'all are not going up ramps to dunk in real life.
One thing about Nintendo, they're going to take something very boring, like tennis, for example, and they're just going to make it dope. That's just, they just make sports. Like if I ever had to play a sports game, it's just going to be Nintendo sports games. Like volleyball, tennis, golf. It will always be the Mario version of a sports game. I will never just play like TGA Tour, whatever. Like I'm not doing that. Like I'll pass.
Hell no.
Same thing for racing games. Like, I just wouldn't play I would not play Need for Speed. Like I just play Mario Kart.
That game where they're rolling around on a wheelchair and they're dunking. That shit looked sick. That looked so fucking sick to me. I just know
now that they have chat. Oh god, the toxicity that's about to enter Nintendo's world because Nintendo has been
people are going to be toxic.
I wonder, like, bro, people are going to come in there on that Xbox 360 energy, especially for the wheelchair game. There's going to be people coming in and saying some off the wall things to those kids who are playing because they're actually disabled in real life. Like, there's just going to be some
wheelchair game is going to be crazy.
I just know the chat for that wheelchair game is going to go like absurd.
It's going to be disgusting. Speaking of, go back a little bit. Speaking of Monster Hunter, it's funny because there's going to be a Monster Hunter in quotes on this. Wild Hearts. That game Wild Hearts is going to be on the Switch too. That came out. It was
Wild Hearts, right?
What'd you say?
I used to play Wild Hearts.
No, Wild Hearts was. It was like a fake Monster Hunter. The Monster Hunter just came out recently. It came out like last year.
It did. I know exactly what I'm watching. I'm looking at it now. They have a parasol. They have like all these different weapons. They have a gun.
Yeah.
And the game just kind of like it came and it went, but it did look dope as fuck when we saw it. It looked dope. Like we were like, this is a game that we would play.
And I never played it, but it being on the Switch too, I might get it.
I think so too.
I'm not going to get it right away, but I might get it. It's like to scratch the Monster Hunter itch until the real Switch Monster Hunter comes out.
Yeah, because there will be.
It could be kind of sick.
No, 100%.
It could be kind of sick.
I forgot about that, but yeah, Wild Hearts. So there's a lot of. I'm thinking of Wild Arms. I play Wild Arms.
Yeah,
games.
yeah, Wild Arms is something else.
Yeah. I was like Wild. I definitely play games called also Monster Hunter Wilds right now, but funnily enough.
Street Fighter 6 is coming out, which is cool. I'm not going to get it, but Street Fighter 6 is coming out on the Switch too.
I'm done playing fighting games that are not Smash, I realized. So I'm pretty good on fighting games. Like I know Tekken 8 came out. I downloaded it for memes because it has like Clive in it from Final Fantasy 16. I think that's amazing. He's also broken, so I love that he's like an S tier character. They didn't like make him trash or anything. But Smash is the only fighting game that really gets me up in the morning. I respect the other ones, but they're just not for me.
The thing about fighting games is like I love them. It's one of my favorite genres, but they take so much time to like be decent at like just to be okay. They take a lot of fucking time.
Yeah.
And it can be kind of frustrating to play them in that regard. And then also like most of my friends don't play them anyway, so there's no point in me getting it because like you can't play a fighting game. Like I wouldn't love it, but I could play Monster Hunter by myself.
Yeah, true.
Never ever play with anybody else.
Yeah.
But, like a fighting game, like you can't play by yourself. It's just not a thing.
Yeah, like yeah, exactly. What's the point? Like what is the actual point? So
but Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is really big just because the last Metroid Prime was on the Wii. Like there hasn't been a Metroid Prime game since the Wii. So like not on the Wii U, not on the Switch. And they're supposed to be on the Switch, but and I mean it still is going to be on the Switch, but it's that's a huge game for like people that love Metroid. It's one of the quintessential like Nintendo franchises. Once again, talking about Smash, everything leads back to Smash because it's Nintendo. How there's a new Donkey Kong. Samus in this new Metroid game has psychic powers.
Oh,
so if we get a new Smash and we can get like Samus retooled once again, she has like a really outdated moveset. We can get Samus with like some whatever these new psychic powers are going to be.
Yeah, I think all the original characters. There needs to be a new Star Fox game. They just need to start redoing all the Smash roster. The original roster, all redone. Pikachu too. You know, he can get it too.
It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be beautiful. They there's a lot. Cyberpunk is going to be on the Switch.
I saw that. I was like, damn, Cyberpunk 2?
I didn't see that. I must have just missed it. But I just see that here. I'm looking at stuff. So the fact Cyberpunk's going to be on there is like pretty big. It's just cool because, I mean, there's of course people that are saying like, oh my God, it's still underpowered. I just don't really know what they want. Like the fact that it's a fully portable system, if it's running Cyberpunk and FF7 Remake and Elden Ring, like I don't really know. I don't really know what else you can ask for.
I think that is so tired now though. So I'm all for like shitting on a company when they do bad things. But like, okay, I don't go to Apple and be mad that their next iPhone is not open source. I wouldn't subscribe to all Apple products and then every time they release an iPhone be like, oh my God, it's still not open source. Like I can't just do whatever I want like an Android phone. Like why? So what I'm saying this to say, Nintendo has never been the high graphics, high fidelity, 8K resolution. That's not their thing. That's not their shtick. That shtick is Sony and Xbox can have that fight. Nintendo focuses on the quality of their games, the fun of their games. That's like what they focus on. And they're like, they have the best, what do they call them? First person games or what? First party games. That's their thing. Like that's what they're good at. They know what they're good at and they stick to it. They're not trying to compete with the PS5 and the Xbox Series, whatever. So saying that complaint now in the year 2025 of our Lord is just a bit ridiculous because you're just beating a dead horse at that point. Like stop it.
The other thing that just doesn't make sense about that complaint is that the console is portable. Your PlayStation can't do this on the go.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't. It can't. And if it did, it would either have to be a pared down, weaker version.
Yep. Just like the Switch too.
Or it would have to be like $1,000. Like it would have to be an absurd price point. You know what I mean? Like, so they're just not, I don't know. It's just weird. It'd be like being mad when the 3DS came out and be like, what the fuck, man? Like I have the PS3. Why is my 3DS not able to play fucking
it's just a
Final Fantasy 15?
It's a tired complaint because I feel like it has to be the same people saying it, right? Like the same people are saying the same thing every time Nintendo drops anything. So it's like, first of all, if you hate Nintendo, right? Why are you here? And if you hate if you hate the way they do graphics and you hate the power of their systems, they're consistently doing this. This is not new, is what I'm saying. It's not like they've been competing in that realm for the last 20 years and all of a sudden the Switch 2 just drops significantly in power and graphics. That's not the case.
Something you just said is so funny to me. I don't remember. Me and Connie were talking about something the other day, and I can't remember what she said it to. But it was something about how like people show up to like super hate on this thing, like on like whatever it was. Like they show up and like it happens, and all the people show up and like hate on it. And what she was saying was like, I just don't get it because like I don't wake up in the morning. Like if I don't like something, I don't look for it.
Same.
Like I don't wake up to look for whatever your direct is, like whatever your version of Nintendo. By the way, whenever these things happen, they get called directs.
By the way,
just what they get called Nintendo Directs. Whatever your version of Nintendo Direct is, like I don't wake up looking for it, and it doesn't ruin my day. Like I don't wake up to see the bullshit that y'all put out, and it doesn't ruin my day when I see that it's bullshit.
Yeah, I don't go and type hateful comments about something that I know I don't like, I don't intend to buy. I've never liked any brand. Yeah. I'm like scanning my brain right now to try to think about something that I genuinely don't like as a brand. But like the fact that I'm having,
I got you. For me, and this is no secret. Frazier knows this. I don't like Apple.
Okay. Yeah. There you go.
I have no love for Apple. Frazier, do you when the new iPhone comes out, have I ever hit you up like, yo, LOL, that shit is trash? like. That doesn't happen.
No,
like, did you see the new iPhone Direct where like,
they do have directs
where they showed that like, oh my God, their flashlight has 2 flashlights. Like, oh, look at them, it's real bright in here. Like, you don't ever hear me talking about anything.
That's
Apple
a great one
because
yeah,
because I don't like Apple. Everybody knows I don't like Apple. I don't have to go around talking about it. It's just not my company. And I have no hate for them. It's just like they're not my company. I just don't buy their products, and I don't talk about it.
If someone doesn't ask you about Apple, you will not talk about Apple.
Yeah,
right. If someone doesn't put a microphone up to your face and say, "What do you think about Apple?" you will not just unsolicited and start talking about Apple, or go find their Apple Direct and just go in the comments and start saying, "We had that feature 3 years ago." Y'all specs still. I know
there's people that do that all the time.
They're doing it to Nintendo right now. It's just crazy. Like it doesn't. Like, again, that's a wild mental illness. That's just a mental illness to wake up.
It's so insane.
You know what time the Direct started. You knew it started at 9 a.m. Eastern time. You woke up, wiped the crust out of your eyes. Maybe you didn't even do that, and you just started hating. Yeah. These graphics still fucking suck. My PS4 can do like, bro, relax.
It's so funny because like they were there on time in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, East Coast time. Fucking like 6 o'clock in the morning if you're on the West Coast. To be at Nintendo's thing, I couldn't tell you what iPhone we're on. Like, I don't know if it's the 10, the 12, the 15, the 20.
I can barely tell you.
I couldn't tell you which iPhone it is.
I'm holding it. I can barely tell you what we're on now.
So it's just weird because like I don't understand why if it's something that you're not interested in. I'm not even going to say don't like, because it's not even that I don't like Apple at this point.
I don't think
have interest in it.
Yeah, I don't think you hate it. I think that's exactly where I'm at too with a lot of things in life. Like, you don't actively hate Apple. When somebody brings up Apple, I'm like, in the last, because we're so mature now, like compared to our younger selves when we met, we were 20.
Yeah.
But like now, if I start talking about my iPhone, you won't even say anything randomly negative for no reason. Like, you won't just unsolicited start shitting on my phone. Like, I'm
more likely to say something positive. Like, I actually did hear that like the camera's insane. Like, I'm more likely to like say something randomly positive about it.
You won't just unsolicited be playing a game in the background while we're at like the Roach Airbnb and just say like, "Yo, your fucking phone sucks, by the way." Like, just by the way, I want you to know, like, I know you love your phone, but it sucks.
You know what the other thing too that's so crazy, and I'm so like randomly proud of myself for, this is like so stupid, but I couldn't even make that argument if I wanted to, because I don't know enough about your phone.
Same,
because you don't say that it sucks. Why would you be watching the Apple anything Directs about it?
Like, why would you be watching the Apple Directs? Like, life has 10 years have gone by, and you just stopped caring. Like, a decade has gone by, and you were like, okay, well, the phone war thing is tired. And that's what I'm saying about these people in the comment sections. There used to be a time when people were into the phone wars, the Android versus Apple thing. And
I remember it was like, if you don't have an iPhone, you don't have a phone. That was like a commercial.
Text messages turning green. It was a whole thing. And I used to always hate it, right? Like, I always hated that shit. Most of the world has grown up past that now. Like, I feel like I don't really see much of that anymore. It used to be so toxic, though, on social media, the whole Apple versus Android thing. But yeah, like, you shouldn't know what our phones do anymore, because why the fuck would you? Like, why? Like, also, you don't watch things you don't like.
To be fair, I don't know what the Android phones do either. I buy a phone, and that's my phone for like 7 years.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what the Android phones do either.
Yeah. To be fair, right? It's just, I
just know what my phone does. I know my phone can play PS Vita. I have a PS Vita emulator.
Here's a good example
on my phone.
I don't know what the new Xbox does. I've been calling Xbox Series whatever this entire podcast. I have not once sent a letter. I have not once called the Xbox, whatever it's actually called. I couldn't tell you what the current Xbox, I couldn't tell you what it is. You know why? Because I don't give a fuck. And it's not because I don't hate it.
Yeah.
I don't actively like hate it. I don't go to Xbox
also because
Direct.
The name is terrible. Like, if it was just called the Xbox 4, you would know it's called the Xbox 4.
Exactly.
But the name is just
the name is so ridiculous.
The name is algebra. Like, it's
the name is ridiculous. And also, I think the name didn't go in order. Like, I remember the Xbox One, I think, came after the 360, and that just pissed me off.
Yeah.
So ever since then, I said, I'm done with them. I'm done learning their names. I'm not doing that. Xbox, whatever it's called, I don't know the specs. I don't know what it's capable of. I don't know, like, I don't even know what it looks like. I actually, so like, you know how the PS5 looks like?
It actually looks kind of cool. It just looks like a computer tower.
Okay, cool.
That's kind of cool looking.
That makes sense. That's a good design, unlike the Kaiba coat that we have for the PS5.
The Kaiba coat is crazy.
The Kaiba coat is insane. But like, again, I couldn't tell you anything about the Xbox because I don't like Xbox. Like, I've never cared about Xbox. So why would I actively go seek their Direct and then shit on it in the comment section? Like, your PS5 better, PC Master Race. This is like, you know, like, why would I go do that?
Like, what's the point?
120 frames per second. So, I'm doing 240 on Ocarina of Time right now. Like,
oh my god, it's so ridiculous.
Just, absolutely insane.
It's going to be sick. The thing is, if you want to play, if you're the kind of person that, and you're just like, I can play Wind Waker and blah blah blah, I can do all this on my computer anyway. I mean, yeah, it's true, you can. But some people really enjoy consoles. I really enjoy consoles, and
my PC's
the biggest thing for the Switch
there's that
is that it's portable. And like, for example, when Slay the Spire 2 comes out, Like I'm obviously getting it on my Switch because like I'm gonna be able to take it everywhere with me.
I'm doing it again.
I'll probably end up getting it on PC as well.
I'm doing it because I'm a recluse. I'm a homebody. I'm home more than I'm anywhere else in the world. Like just factually, I do not have to leave my house to do my job. So I am home the majority of my life now, and I like it this way. So I am in front of my computer majority of the time. So
except for today when we were fucking watching.
Okay. Yes.
When we were watching the Switch Direct. Yeah. And Frazier joined.
I was in Center City.
And it's like,
yeah. I hate.
What the fuck is going on?
I need to get better headphones for being on comms when I'm in public or like outside. The AirPods pick up every speck of wind.
Yes, they do.
They pick up every step I take, every wind that comes past, every person that just like walks by me. They pick up every bus. They pick up everything.
It's crazy.
No noise cancellation at all.
And it's so funny because every time I talk to Frazier, he has a great mic. He has like top 5 mics of like people I talk to on the internet.
As I should, right? I'm your fucking podcasting partner. I absolutely should.
When he joins chat today, I'm like,
he sounds terrible.
Where the fuck is this guy calling me from?
You know how I know I sounded terrible though? When we did that podcast before Indianapolis, and I did it on my MacBook Pro with like AirPods. When I listen back to that episode, I sound fucking horrible, bro.
Yeah.
And I was in a controlled area. I was in a hotel room. So there's no noise outside of me speaking. And it just sounded awful. Like,
yes,
really, really bad though. And it's, that podcast is really funny and special to me because I was talking about, oh man, the prize card is JD this time. And like, this is the first ever JD they ever gave out. And I was like, I would actually love to win that. And I ended up doing, that was such a cool, it was weird because that had the worst audio ever, but it's such a good podcast and such a bad podcast at the same time because the audio is terrible for me.
Oh, that's awesome. I wonder if, this is kind of random, this is like speculation, but the Nintendo Switch original was interesting because like it didn't support Netflix ever. Like the Netflix app never came to Nintendo Switch. And I always found that to be interesting. There is the Hulu app randomly, but I wonder if like they're going to go back to like some multimedia stuff where they'll have Netflix and Crunchyroll and Hulu.
Yeah.
Because on the Wii U, they had Crunchyroll, Netflix, etc. I didn't have the Wii U, but like I remember my PS3 when like PS3 was my shit. I had everything on it: Crunchyroll, Netflix, etc., etc., etc. And it was so awesome just to like have access to all that shit. And just like use it. I wonder if
that's cool.
The Switch will have.
It doesn't take away anything from it for sure. I mean, having that is certainly a nice thing. I didn't even think about it. I completely forgot that games. You're right. I completely forgot that games do that. Like even my PS5 just has like Spotify, Discord, everything.
Yeah. Discord is so crazy because like when we were playing Marvel Rivals, half of the people that join chat are joining from their PlayStation 5.
Yeah, when we were playing Wilds weeks ago with my friend Dennis, Subjective, and he's playing on PS5 with us, but he's talking on Discord through his PS5, which is like really cool. Just
what's so crazy is that I'm so stubborn that like I would still just be on Discord on my PC.
Me too.
Like also because my on PS5.
Also because my mic is better though.
Yeah.
Like my actual the way I'm communicating is just superior because my microphone, to be clear, yes, I'm using a pretty expensive mic. I'm using a Shure mic and it's nice and everything, but it's also programmed for my voice. Like I've tweaked it with software.
Yeah.
So there's like if I take this microphone and I plug it into someone else's computer, I will not sound the way I sound right now because I've literally adjusted I did all of this equalization stuff to my microphone that it's only on my PC. Like my PC has the settings and no other PC will have it.
Yeah.
So I like the way I sound, when I'm talking on this exact microphone. And whenever I have to do anything
why go
else,
through all that effort if you're not going to use it, right?
Exactly. Like I spent all this fucking money on, I got a boom arm and shit like that. Like you guys know the deal. I stream and all that, So I'm used to the way I sound here, but every time I hear myself otherwise, I'm like, dear God, nails on a chalkboard.
Dear God. Something we haven't talked about yet in terms of the Switch 2. Something, I don't know if people will be surprised by this. I don't think I'm going to get the new Pokemon game. I don't know if I talked about this.
It's a new Pokemon game?
Yeah, because it's not out yet.
Okay.
Pokemon Legends ZA or whatever is it's not out yet. It's going to be on the Switch and it is going to be on the Switch 2. It'll be on both consoles. And it's cool, it's Pokemon, but I think I'm going to skip this one just because, like, first of all, the fact that the whole game takes place in one city is not that interesting to me.
What?
Like, yeah, the whole game is in one city. And, like, it's a big city, but, like, that's just not interesting to me at all. Like, I don't want to be in one city the whole fucking time.
Yeah.
It doesn't really do it for me. The next real Pokemon game I'll probably end up getting, but, like, I can't buy every Pokemon game if they're not going to increase the quality that they have. Like when you look at this Pokemon game, It doesn't look horrible. But compare that to Xenoblade 3 or Tears of the Kingdom, and you're like, how are these even on the same console? Like, we're talking about the fact that this console is going to run Final Fantasy VII Remake. Go look at FF7 Remake, and then go look at the next Pokemon.
You didn't have to go. You didn't have to go that far. That was crazy coming from you. That was crazy.
Just go look at the next Pokemon game and tell me that, like, we're being for real. Like, I just don't.
That was insane. He went. I was like. I was getting the Patreon names ready. That's motherfuckers like, go look at the Pokemon game and then go look at Final Fantasy VII Remake. Like, what? Like, what?
I'm just saying, bro. Like,
you know what's funny? Years ago, we had that Friendsgiving at Anthony's house. I remember the new Pokemon game had just come out. And that game was like meme to death because of how buggy it was. And the graphics, you know, they were Pokemon. They were like the graphics I expect from a Pokemon game on a system that has already been out for several years at that time. I think that was in 2022. So even
something like that.
So even the Switch is like at that point pretty old, considering, you know, now it's 2025. It's only 3 years. It's less than 3 years later because it's not November. It's not Thanksgiving again. But it's less than 3 years after that Friendsgiving. Switch was coming out in 2 months. I'm saying this to say, like, back then, that game looked like a game that was, you know, not up to par even then. Yep. And the way you're talking about this one coming out is like, we can't keep doing this. Like, there's no excuse.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
You're like, there's no excuse.
We can't keep doing this. There's no excuse because, once again, you just said, I think Scarlet and Violet, like you said, I think it came out in, let's say, 2022, right?
Yeah. Whatever that Friendsgiving was, I think that Friendsgiving was 2022 because it couldn't have been, it wasn't last year, and it wasn't the year before that.
It was 5 years old at that point.
Yep.
There's no magic. The game developers know what's happening.
Yep.
Pokemon had already released a game on the Switch. Sword and Shield had already come out.
Yep.
So Pokemon had released 2 games. They released Sword and Shield. They released Pokemon Legends Arceus. So Scarlet and Violet was the 3rd Pokemon game to come out on the Switch. Breath of the Wild is the first game on the Switch. The Switch's very first game. So when you show me a game that's 5 years in and had 2 previous iterations, and it looks not just worse, like remarkably worse than the very first game on the console, it's like, bro. And now we have the 4th Pokemon game that'll be on the Switch, the first one on the Switch too. And it like, it looks better than the other ones, but like it still doesn't look as good as Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, you know,
like, why are we doing it? Yeah. I mean, you taking a stance against Pokemon is really, I mean, that's real. I haven't played a Pokemon game in a long time, but maybe one day I'll also get an itch to play that because that was a big part of my life too. When I'm just revisiting my childhood. There's still
fun games. Like Scarlet and Violet is a really fun game.
Yeah.
It's just like disappointing in a lot of ways.
Yeah. It's like things that that could be fixed. That's what always does it, I think, for us at our age. It's not that we're asking for things that have never been done before, so then you're asking to do stuff that's not in their wheelhouse. It's like, no, I'm asking you to do something that is blatantly your system is capable of doing this. You're running Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. There's no.
I'm just asking the most successful IP in the world.
Yeah,
that's all I'm doing. I'm just asking the most successful IP in the world.
Also that.
To like, and here's what I'm asking, which is crazy. I'm not asking it to make a Switch 2 game. I'm asking it to make a game that looks as good as Breath of the Wild. I'm asking it to make a game that looks as good as the first Switch game. That's all I'm asking.
So while you're asking that, right, I actually think it's a double-edged sword. Because it is the number 1 IP in the world, that is also reason enough for them to be like, we can do whatever.
We have no incentive.
We have no incentive. Look at what happened with that fucking Pokemon Go game. Do you remember how frustrated I was when the tracker got broke and the one dude came on stage drunk? And they were asking him about it. He was like, yeah, we really can't talk about that right now. He started joking about it and just like laughing, and he laughed off stage. And then they said he was partying on a yacht the next week. Like, they don't have incentive because they made $25 billion that summer.
Yeah. It's like, what do you want me to do?
They made $25 billion on Pokemon Go in the first summer of the game. They didn't care about the fucking tracker. Go fuck yourselves.
Yeah, exactly. So Pokemon will probably get me with the next Pokemon game. Because I can't sit here and tell you I'll never buy a Pokemon game again. Yeah, and I know they're never going to be completely caught up in quality. But I can say I won't buy every Pokemon game.
Yeah.
For example, I didn't buy the Diamond and Pearl remake. Diamond and Pearl is my favorite Pokemon game like ever. I didn't buy the remakes because they are embarrassingly disgusting to look at.
Oh, they look bad?
The Diamond and Pearl remakes are horrible. I'm sorry. Pokemon has a lot of games on Switch. It has fucking Sword and Shield. It has Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. It has Pokemon Legends Arceus. It has Scarlet and Violet. And it has the Diamond and Pearl remakes.
Damn.
And then it's going to have the new Legends games. There's 6 Pokemon games on the Switch. I just feel like at some point they could have figured out how to fucking run the game. So anyway, I'm not getting the next Pokemon game, but I'll probably be here getting the one after that. I can't say no forever. I'm taking a stand on this one.
Okay, that's fair. There'll probably be another one in like 3 years or something. So
yeah, we'll see.
However long it's, I don't know what the time period is between Pokemon games is. I don't remember. But okay, guys. Well, I think that concludes this episode of the podcast. Hope you guys did enjoy us just ranting and talking about gaming in general and the Switch 2 in specific. It was fun. It was a really fun conversation to have. I think it's gonna be dope. I think the Switch is a fantastic idea, and I like a lot of the games that do come out on the Switch. So I cannot wait until the games that I really want to play inevitably get their titles, because they will. Smash and Monster Hunter are two of the ones that I know for sure. But then there's also like, I played the fuck out of Bravely Default 2. So, like there's a bunch of games that I've played the fuck out of on the Switch, and
it's
Octopath
so
Traveler, like when they do Octopath 3rd.
Dude, there's some excitement. If we get a Bravely Default 3, if I get like a Triangle Strategy 2, Octopath 3, like there's some really big exciting things that could be in the future of the Switch 2. When you just look at like what the Switch 1 has, it could be really fucking big. They could make Legs, the ARM sequel.
I was so lost. And with that, I'm going to read up the names of our Patreon. Thank you so much for subscribing at the party member or higher tier. We have Gaming Has Me Broke already for 2025. Quest, Xavier, This Ain't God, This Is Stanley Earl, The Sultan of Slots. You can get cooked in any format. Omri Reynolds, First to Arise, Hydro Pump, Vincenzo, Dallas Bailey, KJ, Fair Bear Flash, Sarah Maria, Alex Ahern, Bluff Knox slides on his ops with extra baby oil, trying to get flued out, Gore's in my prison pocket, Sugal, Vicky Venomon, Elijah Barfall. By the way, you guys did a fantastic job with the names. Like, these are insane. Tyler Chideo, Volvita Mega Monarch, I'm YCS Pasadena 2022 recap timestamp 24 seconds in receipt, Mr. CEO. Oh shit. Janitor 215. So, I've been doing a whole thing like I'm not the CEO or whatever.
Yeah.
And Rage Peacock has been like, obviously finding receipts of times where I basically have assumed the position of CEO. And like, I'm assuming that YCS Pasadena 2022 recap timestamp 24 seconds in, something must have happened at that exact moment to be a receipt.
I'm gonna have to go back and see.
Yeah, I'm curious what he's referencing. But we have Janitor 215, Thomas Rude, Joshua Carroll, Eric Chai, Brian Moore, This Ain't God, This Is City Councilman Eric Mays. And then we have Tim Bailey Free, Glaze Smooth Butt, Nah I'd Win, B-Dog 23, Hershey Bar, Phil and Poister, Tyler Frasher, Sasha Egger, Daniel Anderson, Deroa, Chicken Toaster Strudel, Jordan Eastman, Robert Light, Trainee Joey 182, Clanger, Pavinci, Travis Lurs, Steam Deck over Switch 2, you're capping. You're just capping, that's crazy. AC19, Gregory Calmaring, Limp Bizkit Jigsaw, Mike and John, Froggo, Anthony Japov, Michael Zhang, Konjik, Tyler, Neos is my alias, Chris Louie, Bob Cuddy, Kevin Garcia, Teth Adam, Time Wizard 942, and Kevin Garcia. Oh shit, there's 2 Kevin Garcias though.
Oh yeah, there is.
And they're separate.
They are different people.
What the hell? Hey yo, Kevin. Let me tell you this, Kevin. All right, let me tell you this right now. This, I don't know what's going on, but don't try any funny shit, bro. Okay? I don't know what's going on.
They're 2 different Kevins.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. So, I'm keeping an eye on you. So just...
They got different emails.
Yeah, they do. But one of them, I can see the emails. Don't try any funny shit. That's all I'm going to say. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Violators.
I believe in you, Kevin.
Violators will be prosecuted. Anyway, thank you guys so much for the support. We appreciate all of you. And with that being said, guys, as always, say do things that make you happy, including watching things that you actually enjoy and not things that you hate, because that is mental illness.
Hell yeah.
We'll catch you next one, guys.
Get out the legs on the Switch 2.
Peace.